All right, guys, welcome back to another installment of Extreme Airsoft's 6-year-strong birthday bash. I've got a very special guest here today. This man is a local who is making big waves in the airsoft industry. This is Mr. Ian Gilley, basically the creator of the SL14. Now, I mean, I'm used to seeing this on the shelf, but years ago, I was used to seeing this as nothing more than a very intricate piece of wood with plexiglass, and I forgot you use like a solid plastic rod for the feeding system?
Yeah, I actually used a cleaning rod for a 22 rifle. That was what I used for the push rod. And yeah, plywood, acrylic, anything I could, I made it in a day.
Just for everyone, for some background, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm an industrial designer by profession. Product design is a passion of mine, and this was a perfect fit. I was in the right place at the right time and saw the need. I was playing airsoft with my son, so I was loading my own mags, and while he was talking and playing with his friends, I was loading his mags, and realized that wasn't a lot of time to get it done, and we needed something to improve loading of mid-cap magazines, and this is where it all started.
I mean, airsoft. The speed loader is like the mousetrap of airsoft, and everybody is trying to build a better mousetrap. And then, you got we're gonna have the big 440 round M4 style speed loaders. You got the Mr. Wind-Up for the high caps, but to increase the volume of fill per pump by so much is just an astronomical jump, and the versatility of this system has been tremendous. I just kind of want to details of where you came up with the individual ideas. There's really a lot of thinking going on in this. This isn't just drop the BBs down so they line up and then just pump them in. There's way more thinking in this than that. Kind of just take me through the process of the needs and then how to fill those needs.
Well, certainly there is a lot more going on in there. The biggest challenge was you cannot take a large mass of BBs and get them to go through a small opening all at once. It just won't happen. The whole idea is to slowly organize the BBs from a large mass, which is the storage compartment, segregate a small batch into the front end of this, which is what I call the preload chamber. That takes approximately 40 BBs out of the 1,800 in the storage. So now you're working with 40 BBs, a lot easier to control. At that point, they rise over a lip in the front. They're isolated from the main storage. They can now easily travel down into sort of the preload chamber, which leads into the feed tube. So it's a lot easier to now take those 40 BBs, kind of gain control of them, which was really probably the biggest challenge. I spent a lot of time. I became obsessed with looking at small spheres and how they reacted together, how they bunched up, how I could loosen them up and get them to freely move. I worked a lot in clear acrylic so that I could see what was going on inside, and that by far was the largest challenge. Once they comfortably load the feed tube, then everything became somewhat academic in that we needed to then push them. I had been using, like I had said, a push rod into a tube, but through this slot in the bottom, there's a load pin, I'm calling it.
If I could interrupt this, if some of you are probably seeing this or own one of these at home, this is a very similar system to something you guys may recall. This is genius thinking, because this is basically a collapsible stock lever system. It's like a perfect fit for this. And I'm guessing you shape the top so it allows kind of like a slant where it blocks flat one way and slants the other way?
Correct, and for strength reasons too. So the load pin, it's not actually a pin, it's a beveled sort of wedge shape. But you're absolutely right. You know, there are so many things that you come across every day that in my profession, I pay very close attention to a lot of these things that just seem very simple, but you sort of build a library of knowledge of components and how things work, and you draw from that sort of library of thinking. And yes, this is exactly that. It was a perfect fit for this. And then the shotgun pump, I figured people would be familiar with that. People do confuse us for a shotgun, but that's exactly right. So to allow the BBs to feed into the load tube, the pin is moved out of the way. When the load tube is full, the pin is reinserted into the load tube, and a single pump will load 40 rounds into either 120 or 140 round magazines. So 3 pumps for 120, 4 pumps for 140, and you can load approximately 10 magazines in less than 3 minutes. That's about 1/10 of the time, if you're familiar with the thumb.
Oh yeah, to be honest, one of the main reasons that the main reasons these guys we've had a hard time keeping them in stock is there is with the growth of airsoft in the Northeast, we've been seeing a lot of teams forming. And when you got a lot of teams, you get a lot of guys running uniform guns. You got a lot of guys pitching in for mass quantities of ammo, and then the lowest guy on the totem pole is usually always stuck loading the guns. But I mean, respawn areas at outdoor games, and you got to get your stuff loaded quick to get back out in the fight. And this thing has been absolutely dominant in fulfilling that role. Now, the detachable magwells, I mean, for a long time now, this has been out, it's been just the M4, but I see something next to you that people have been anticipating. And I want you to give them a little idea.
I'll tell you a little bit about that. Now, it was interesting in the process. If you talk to any engineer, they never would have released this without having completed the remainder of the adapters. There are a lot of unknowns. I took into consideration that we would need these, and understanding of magazines and where the fill tube is, I was able to leave enough available space so not only the M4, M16 will fit into place, but now we're about to come out with the AK-47, which will load in the same fashion, and we have now the G36 adapter. Same way, the G36 will slide in place, and now you can load not only a G36, your AK-47, and your M4, M16 magazines in the same fashion. So now it's quite the complete system for some of the most popular magazines.
And that's absolutely fantastic. And when can we expect to see these guys on the shelves, or are these guys already available to purchase?
Well, I tell you, I've been anticipating for quite some time, but what you are looking at is an actual production sample. This is off of production tooling. We're not talking prototype anymore. These are ready to go, and they should be on the market literally, I would guess, in weeks.
You guys can look forward to seeing those in the store here. Now, just kind of like a closing thought, and just on the side, but I gotta ask. I mean, you're a very, very humble guy. You're coming here, hanging out with us. Still, I mean, you've made this fairly revolutionary item for the industry, and I mean, we were fortunate enough to find you here, actually at our field, see it, and put you in touch with Elite Force. But I mean, I gotta ask, like, what's it like owning basically like a piece of the airsoft industry, being from Rhode Island, which is not really known for being part of the airsoft industry, seeing as how most of that's based primarily on the West Coast, all the influx coming from overseas of all the parts and guns and everything, and making a huge dent in the airsoft industry from little old Rhodey. I mean, it's got to feel pretty good. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, it certainly does. As a young designer fresh out of school, my first goal was to have a product on the market. Never did I imagine that I would be involved in the sport of airsoft, and to be a part of changing how the sport is played. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. It's, call me humble. Maybe it hasn't sunken in, but I love the fact that I could do something for this sport that will impact it hopefully forever, and future products to come. But it was, like I say, right place at the right time, meeting the right people, meeting with Lenny here at Extreme. He was a fantastic help. He took me under his wing. He introduced me to the right people, and without that, I probably would never have gotten the foot in the door to meet with these people, Elite Force, Cliff at Elite Force, and a few trips to Arkansas, and here we are.
And that's absolutely fantastic, man. And you got to give yourself a pat on the back sometimes. And we're right there with you. We're super proud to help usher in such a revolutionary thing coming from right here, man. And I thank you very much for coming here and being a part of this. I mean, you're as much of a part of this as all of us are right now. And look forward to seeing all the future products that you come up with and put out, man. And you guys can all look out for them too.
Yeah, great. And come down to Extreme. These are a great bunch of people. Very enthusiastic, very professional. It's a great place to be.
All right, thank you very much, man. We'll see you.
All right,
all right, thank you guys for signing off.